we've been anticipating this, haven't we?
I thought it was going to be worth it.
Oh, I'm sure it will, I'm sure it will. First of all, were you born in Derry? Or were you, so where were you born?
Bargoed.
Bargoed.
Baldwin Street in Bargoed.
Next to the bakery. Next to the bakery.
The bakery eventually got there. There was a working house there, wasn't it?
Right.
And Bryn Davies bought that and turned it into the bakery because his original bakery was behind Gus Jones's, where the shop is now.
Oh, right.
That's where, because my father worked there. My father worked for Mr. Hallett, who owned the bakeries then, before Bryn Davies bought them. So that was about 19. Glenys Davies, Bryn's daughter, had just been born. He hadn't bought it long before Glenys was born. And Glenys died about 3 years ago. She was 70. So that's a while ago, isn't it?
2041.
So if you want to know, I was afraid of cows when I came to the farm first.
No, I was going to say to you, when did you go to the farm then?
The first time I went to the farm was March 1944. That's when I'd been coaching Tom. And that's the first time I went to the farm. And I used to think, I hope the cows are not in. I hope the dogs are in. But you get used to these things.
You was only 16 then, weren't you? Only 16. You were 16 then?
Yes. Yeah.
And your mother-in-law was living at the farm then?
Yes, they came to Cefn Bach in 1939, and they took over from Charles the Capper's aunt and uncle. But they were in Penavide in 1932, which is the farm the other side.
My cousin was
And
still there.
then they came, when Mr. and Mrs. Jones went, they took over in Cefn Bach. And I was up there in 1946 to live. January the 1st, start the year off.
So you actually started at the farm towards the end of the war?
Yes, it was, yeah. Yes, the war was still on, wasn't it? That's right, it was. And it, yes, I suppose you don't think about it because I think, I don't know how many can remember it, but basically, the war didn't make much difference in this area, did it? I don't think we were short of food. Not as I know we were rationed, but I think because it's a dairy village, but the farms around could manage to keep you going in milk and whatever. I know Tom's mother used to make, in the summer, if you had surplus milk, she would make butter and cheese.
Yeah, we since discovered that we were healthier with rationing than we are now.
Yeah. But,
So what was it like being a townie Bargoed, going to the farm?
Going to the farm was all right. It was okay. Basically because you were in the house. And then Tom's mother and Tom's dad had a stroke, and we call her Mam Williams. She didn't want to be a granny, she was Mam Williams. They decided they were going to give up. And Tom was going to take over the tenancy. That's when it changed. Because I thought, well, I've got to learn to milk, which I did.
No modern equipment then?
We didn't have electricity.
No electricity?
Oh no, we didn't have water. Well, we didn't have
Running water.
a toilet with you couldn't flush a toilet. Well, quite frankly, as you go, if you go up the farm, the main gate, as you were up there today, where the stable is on the right hand side, that was the toilet.
Quite a distance.
It was a distance at the bottom of the garden. It wasn't at the bottom, really at the bottom of the garden. And I suppose the real waking up part of being a farmer's wife was lambing time. when they say, this ewe can't lamb, can you do something about it? Yeah, what am I going to do? Well, you've got to do this, that and the other, but it's something you learn. And the only really funny one was about 12 o'clock one night. Tom comes upstairs and says, come on, cow can't calve. What do you want me to do about it, Tom? Well, you better come quick and do something because it's backwards. So there's me in a 90 and a pair of slippers and helping to get this cow, the calf out the cow, which I did. And I never wore a 90 in bed since. What waste the time? No, that was, but it's something that grows on you.
Yeah.
You get
Has you seen, you must have seen things change a lot
a lot.
over the years. What are the biggest changes?
Electricity. We had electricity in 1959, which made a vast difference.
I can remember the electric coming there.
That's right,
Because
yeah.
I was 8 then, like. It
Yeah.
was a big thing, wasn't it?
Oh, it was wonderful.
Wasn't it?
Before then, was oil lamps and candles.
It was tilly
Tilly
lamps,
lamps,
yes,
tilly
and
lamps, yeah.
candles, and I hate candles. When I see these little things that float around with the little lights on them, tea lights they call them.
Yeah.
I don't like them in church when the kids are carrying it. What do you call it? That
Christine got
Christmas, yeah, no. But yes, and then because of the machinery you can get now, we actually had a cistern for the sewerage and the water is just like everybody else now, just tip it down the drain sort of thing. That was another big thing that was. You didn't have to carry all your water.
Unless it's frozen.
Hmm?
Unless it's frozen.
Oh, unless it's frozen. It's been frozen this year. But
Ages.
it's, but yes.
But you're not on the mains, yeah? You still,
Oh no,
it's
no,
what
it's
comes down.
it's our own water, yeah. I suppose the other thing when I went up there first, all the farming was done with horses. Ploughing, sowing, reaping, mowing and Tom's father was the horseman. And if in the summer when they would cut the hay early in the morning, for some reason or other, it's supposed to be the best time, but those horses had to stop at 8 o'clock for their breakfast. They had to stop at dinner time, and they had to stop for tea time. They were not abused anyway at all. But we had the first tractor in 1949. There's a little story on this one. It was a little Ferguson T20, Petra. About 3 years after, Tom says, we're getting rid of that tractor. I thought tractors lasted a lifetime. I thought, what on earth for? I've had it long. Well, he said, I'm going to put it in for a diesel one because petrol has gone up to 1 and 6 a gallon. 1 and 6 a gallon. He wanted to change it to diesel, which he did. There we are.
So for how long did you live in the farm with your mother-in-law then?
7 years.
7 years.
Yeah.
And then she moved down to Hill
Down to
Street.
1 Hill Street, yeah, 7 years. But
So you hadn't been long there when you went to Snow 47?
oh, well, my first year. It started to snow in December of 46. But just snowed. But then it snowed really hard. And we were snowed in for 10 weeks. There was still snow on Cefn Bach Yard in June. It had compacted. It didn't look like snow, it was just dirty. And then things appeared that you'd forgotten about, and it was because the snow was melting. We had a drift on the yard that went over to what we call the barn. You didn't see the pond, we have a pond. It covered the pond, it went over the barn and the cow shed where they milked. They dug a tunnel to get into the cows to milk. It was by hand, obviously. And there was a little shed with chickens in and pigs. That was covered completely. So the pigs, they dug up to the roof of the pig shed and down to the floor. And Tom used to go up with a bucket of pig food, and Tom's father would come behind and, no, Tom would go up and Tom's father would put the bucket down and he'd say, "What, Tom?" And when it thawed in April, and it practically thawed overnight. And when they went to feed the pigs the next morning, they were up to their bellies in water. So it was a big rush then to get them able to drown if you know, it had been, that's how quickly it thawed. Incredible. And then 1960-61, to take over from Tom's mother and father. 53. We took over in 53, and we had a foot and mouth outbreak at the end of 53, and the landlord died, so we were offered a chance of buying Cefn Bach, but because we owed Tom's mother and father £2,000 for him going, we wouldn't borrow £1,000 to buy Cefn Bach. £1,000, isn't it? But at the end of that year, we already paid, we'd sold the lambs, so we paid Tom's mother £250 of what he owed her. Then the outbreak of foot and mouth came in end of November, beginning of December, and because our ewes were brought down from the mountain to be with the tup ready for lambing, the ministry came and tested our sheep twice a week to see if they had foot and mouth, which they didn't. And on Christmas Eve, the ministry decided they were going to clear the whole of the hill. Everybody's sheep went. They took the lot. There was Gwilyd of Bristol, Kevin Bristol, all of them, they all went. Whether they sold them for meat, I don't know. I don't know what happened to them, but they certainly didn't destroy them then. And we had enough money to pay Tom's mother and father what we owed them, and enough left to buy 100 sheep. Oh. And then it was about, that was 53. So it must have been about 60 when we had a chance of buying it again. But in the meantime then we put in electricity, and the price had gone up £1,000. So, so we bought it then. There we are.
So when did you have an electric milking facility?
Oh, as soon as we had electricity. I think they were putting the electric in, and the boys were doing the milking and the milking area. Yeah. I was made redundant then because I used to milk 6 cows. My 6. I used to do that.
So you said you used to help with the lambing. You've obviously helped with the lambing. You can see by Grace's hands she's helped with the lambing.
Yeah,
in the season, she could never wear any rings or anything, could you? Because your hands were so. So you weren't afraid of sheep when you first went there, and you were all right with the sheep.
With the sheep, yeah. I'm just surprised how quickly you get used to the cows. You know, the cows. Yeah, it's surprising.
What about the milk crowns?
Oh yeah.
You know, because they always only talk about lots of the women and
Yeah.
your mother not taking the milk around and the milk
That's
churn.
right, they did. It was a horse and cart, and Peggy then as well. She used to. Tom used to fetch it down, and then he got fed up with it, and he decided he was going to finish it, and then Peggy took over, and but she had a little van, didn't she? A little
Cart, didn't she?
little cart that she pulled, and a little.
No, yeah,
What was that? What was the cart?
Morris
That's right.
Shooting break thing in the first one. And then,
And then she did have a little cart that she put around.
yeah, then
didn't
the
she?
cars got posher, and then the milk wasn't allowed in the cars then, because they used to smell, and then,
All right.
so they had
That's
the,
what she had the...
yeah.
It's like if you ever pull in and... It's all right then, you go to all this
Yeah.
flat, I don't know, she managed on the hills.
they had them made in crossvan. Somebody made them in crossvan pit, those little trolleys. I pulled them and left to Lincoln.
There seemed to be a tradition of women taking milk round, didn't there?
Yes.
In dairy, because didn't
They
they?
did.
Mary,
Mary,
Roger,
Mary Edwards.
Edwards,
Mary
didn't
Jane
they?
Edwards.
Mary, yeah.
Yes.
Mam Williams used to go down to Philo, didn't she, as well? When they,
When they
went
came up
Derby.
there first,
They
yeah,
were in
that's where the
Derby.
milk ground was, in Turfell. But you're saying about that, I remember that there was this lady that used to come around in Bargoed with a 5-gallon jack, they called them then, on her bicycle. And when I came up here then I realised it was the lady from the Mardy.
All right.
Yeah, was she, was it Davis?
Davis was in the Mardi.
That's right.
Wasn't it
And it was,
Johnny?
that's the lady, one of the brother.
Brother? Wasn't it Johnny? One of the...
That's right, the Johnny.
Johnny
the one
The
with
four
the-
daughters on
Tom and Mardy, Johnny
Tom.
Brindray.
Yeah.
Johnny
Yeah.
Brindray, that's the one. Yeah.
That's the lady I
Maggie. Was it
I didn't
Maggie?
know her name, I just know this lady with the
Oh.
bike and the milk.
I'll have to ask Bira, she'll remember.
So was there many different farms operating milk grounds in Derry? Because I mean, the only one I remember
Mr.
was
Rees.
IKEA.
Yeah, I Greece, yeah.
Like Lisa, he was in Morgan's Terrace, wasn't he?
That's right.
Yeah.
And then Mary used to come down and she used to have it from Brindray, that's right,
That's
isn't it?
it,
Brinco.
Brinco. Right, that was Mary.
And then there was IKEA.
Oh, yeah,
Three-way, wasn't it? It used to be three-way, wasn't it?
Sure to have been, it was,
I
yeah.
think it was three.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course the milk, the cooperative milk.
That's
Yeah.
My first contact with you just before we started the meeting. As a kid, we used to go to the Gospel Hall because they had a magic lantern, so we all went to the Gospel Hall to watch the magic lantern. But Tom's father used to tether kit, and that's what I was reading something this week. He used to tether kit outside the Darran, and Stevens was in the Darran then. And we were allowed to go up and tap the horse, I know. He used to say, you can stroke the horse. And the horse used to seem like a monster to us. And Kit, that name had never gone out of my head, you know.
She was only a little Welsh mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kit. She had a foal on the day they were expecting the first tractor.
All right, then.
And the foal came from nowhere. And it was called Fergie.
I'll never forget that
It was
horse
quite
outside
a
the
surprise. It was
Darran.
a surprise. So she came before the tractor after we came Fergie. You fetch
Which
your
one
memories
had
now.
which one had a fall on New Road
Um,
in the middle of the milk ground?
yeah, I'm trying to
I
think
can
now.
remember that.
Opposite
Opposite your house,
Brown. Brown.
is it?
Yeah, she was the mare.
Yeah.
When I went up there, there had 3 big horses, Prince, Dick and Brown. And Brown, she had new harness, because she was new horse, completely new harness, which is now half of it hanging up in the kitchen in the front, in the big kitchen in the farm, Brown's. Martingale and all the bits. I think it was Brown, was it, Joe?
I don't know.
Did he?
I thought Kit foaled on New Road.
No, she was a Welsh mountain. And there's, the back of my mind, there's another horse somewhere that they might have borrowed off Uncle Ivan, but I can't remember. But Brown was the one that was...
Blossom and Gypsy lived in the Plath, didn't they? Blossom and Gypsy, they
when
lived
they
in
give
the
up the
Plath.
ponies, yeah. Yeah, with the plaza, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Tom was in a terrible temper that morning, I can assure you. When he had to unhitch the horse to let it go down in the bank to fall. And had to come up for another horse to carry on with the milk. Didn't like it at all.
The horses all had names. Did you ever name any of the other animals?
Oh yeah.
A few cows to have. Like at the moment we've got Adam, is
The bull.
the Hereford bull. And they've got a couple of ones. They've got one cow that she's a milking cow, so she rears about 5 or 6 calves a year. And the reason that we still have her is because she's got something wrong with her eye, and so you can't sell them like that anyway. And she's called Loopy because she can only see from one side, so she gets a bit frustrated if from the wrong side.
And Adam's son is Bryn. Bryn.
Bryn? Oh, aye, that's the new one now. We've they've gone in for pedigree Herefords. So Adam had to be blood tested and everything. But he has a son called Bryn. So Bryn's coming up a 12-month-old now. So he is a registered Hereford.
Bryn's mother is Trudy.
And the other one is Trudy the second or
Little
something,
Trudy.
isn't it?
Little Trudy, the other one, isn't it? But when we were kids and you had the mixed herds, there was only about a dozen or so. They all had names, didn't they?
Yeah, they tended to be named after people who buy them off. I know we had a couple from Crossbarn and they were Gladys and what was the other sister? I can't quite remember that. I know they were named after the girls in Crossbarn.
I know we had a Blanche and a Poppy and there's a few of them, wasn't there? We had a few poppies though, didn't we? We had a few poppies.
You must have had sheepdogs. How long did it take to train a good sheepdog?
Well, we've never had a good one, so we can't.
We've never had one that can read manuals to see what it's going to do. If you're lucky, you have it's a natural thing that they will do.
Yeah.
At the moment, we've got one, but she's about 3 years old. She's absolutely brilliant. She is very, very good. But, and Colin and Geraint are not very good. And Tom was terrible with dogs. Anyway, they just had to do their own thing. But we have 3 sheepdogs now. The bitch, Molly she's excellent. And then we got Barney, which, believe it or not, is a son of a Jack Russell. And you would never ever believe that she had this big dog out of a little dog like that. But he's good, but he's a cattle dog. He's very good with the cows. Very good. If you say, go fetch them, and he'll just go. He'll go in the shed and get them out the shed. But he won't rush them at all, he just gets them out nice and gently. And then we've got a new one called Fly, who lives up to his name, really. He's not very good at all at the moment. But he's only one.
Oh, he's got a while to settle down. He's got a while to settle down.
Yeah.
I know.
They say 2 years.
Yeah. Good news to train him, for sheepdog trials and things.
There we are.
Grace, you've got a lovely old farmhouse. It's really historical, isn't it? So could you talk a little bit about the farmhouse?
Well, first of all, there's a longhouse, which Dr. Phil reckons has been there since 13-something. It's basically one room down and one up. There was no stairs there. And sort of a little pantry on the side. And there is a stable there, which was there when I went up there, and apparently that was an extension onto the old house. Then, as history goes, they built another house, which was 2 rooms down and 2 rooms up. No stairs, you went upstairs on a ladder through a trapdoor. And then, now, I don't know when that was built, but I assume it was built about 1800, because the front of the house was built in 1849, and that's a big extension onto the front. It's 5 rooms on the front, and they are big rooms. So
when you say 5 rooms, that 2 down and 3 up, or?
in the extension, they've got, you've seen the porch in the front.
Yeah.
2 big rooms downstairs, 2 decent-sized bedrooms, and a small one in the middle. So, in all, there are 5 bedrooms there now. Well, there's 10 rooms altogether anyway now.
So the stairs is in the new...
In the new bit, yeah.
When you talk about Dr. Phil, was that Dr. Dine's brother?
Yeah.
Oh, because he's always talking about the Cefn Bach Farm, as I told you.
Yeah.
He's always
Yeah.
talking about Cefn Bach Farm. Whenever I see him, and I see him quite a bit.
And the pond on the yard is, I mean, you just have to rely on rain because there's no other way there's going to be water into it. But he reckons that pond has been there a very long time because there wouldn't have been a farm there without water. Even though they were just catching like a dew
because
pond.
he was quite an intelligent individual.
Oh yeah,
wasn't he? Dr.
he
Phil.
was.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he was.
But you would, I mean, didn't you're with Pete from the archaeologist from the museum to come and look at the farm?
Oh, that's another thing that was. Reading the Western Mail one morning, it says that there are no longhouses in Glamorgan. The original longhouses were in Scotland. I thought, right, I'm having you there, mate. So I went and phoned up Dr. Pete, and yes, they came up, and he reckoned it was one of the best longhouses they'd ever seen because it had never been altered. It was as it was, because you had to go into the cowshed to go into the house, into the living room. And all that was in that living room was a big, you couldn't call it a fireplace, it was just bricks built up on the side and metal in the front, and 2 sort of slabs on the side. And when they were up there, apparently there was no glass in the windows because he said, look, he said, I've got slats in here. They were slats once upon a time. And I said, well, how did they go to bed? And I had said, did they go up just at the side as you came in through the door? And he said, no, they most probably went, he said, at the side of the fireplace, but it's been covered over. Okay? So when they decided to turn it into a dairy, that meant that they had to take the fire range was about that big. Well, it was quite wide and had a chain that you could and things like that. And I think if I remember rightly, there was a rack above that you could smoke. But when we knocked it down, I say we, they knocked it down, this piece that had been covered, that they could have been the stairs, was an earth oven. And the only way I can explain it is it was an upside down, well, no, a beehive. But it was,
Yeah, I got it.
and round. We've got some photographs of it upstairs. The bricking inside was perfect, the stonework, it was perfectly round. And apparently they just put the sticks in there and caught them on fire. But in the house itself, there is an old oven that in the old bit. But that's about that long. That one is quite a. If it had been a decent door on it, I think I would have had it go. Yeah, I would have. Yeah. But yeah, that was the big oven. So obviously they did go upstairs. They couldn't go there because there was no stairs.
That's right.
St. Fagans was pretty interested in the long house
Well,
at one time, weren't they?
yeah.
And they found one closer or something, didn't they?
They
Found one nearer or something. Why did they not take it?
There was one. There is some. I don't know if it's Modernization or no. I don't know. But they have got a long house in there. But
Because they were on.
they've got a lot of graph drawings of Cefn Bach down in
Because they
St.
wanted it
Fagans.
at one time, didn't they? They were on about taking that one down, weren't they?
Yeah, they yeah. It's still there. It's still there.
And didn't you have some other people come up there looking for different things and finding
Oh yeah.
items?
First, what was saying about the house, there was a well there, and in the front garden. But Tom's father used to say that the mines had taken the water. You know, it sort of, yeah. But basically, it's still there, only it's covered over. Yes, they had some metal detectors come up. And what they surprised me is what they found. They found some Roman coins. They found French coins. They didn't find many UK coins at all. But it's and they also found a dog. Now that was a bit funny because they said they found this dog. I said, you don't find a dog with a metal detector unless you've got a metal collar. But no, it was apparently a little, I didn't see it. You could put it in your hand and it was a dog. And they took it to the museum and the museum said that you didn't see them around this area very often. But there was something like, whether it was a talisman, I don't know. But apparently that he was quite surprised, and I haven't seen the people since to ask them what happened to it. They also found an axe head, which they reckon was 3,000 years old. It was broken in half, so I don't know what they saw 3,000 years ago, I don't know. But he must have been quite cross when it broke. Yeah. But it was metal. That was. So.
Uncle Bernard found a cross in the pond, didn't he?
That, yes, he did. And it was, must have been silver or pewter because it wasn't rusty. And it had Jerusalem written across the bar in
Hebrew.
what? Yeah, what's the China?
Hebrew.
If you do something with China, it could be
Like an enamel?
It was enamel, yes, something like that.
Oh, what
And
do you call
because-
it, cloisonné?
I don't know, but because it was in our alphabet, as modern alphabet, I didn't think it was old. But apparently, yes, it was. It was quite old. It could have been one from the Jerusalem Wars, the
All right.
Crusades.
Crusades.
The Crusades, I don't know. But, that's what they said in the museum with that one as well.
And that
They
is
kept
at the
that as
museum
well.
as well, is it?
They
No,
kept-
Bernard still
Oh,
has it.
Bernard
I'll have
had
to
it.
ask him, can I have a lend of it?
I thought that was down in the museum, but Bernard had it back, did he?
Yeah, I think
Ask
so,
him
yeah.
now, then I can fetch it down then to show him.
I'll have to ask him, yeah.
I may be out of focus a little bit, but I was talking to Brian about this not too long ago. The kids were doing this thing on Takanarkas, is that the right pronunciation? Because that's up there somewhere. And in the
Takanaka
museum,
stone,
of
yeah.
course, they've
Yeah.
taken the original Takanaka stone and it's in the
Museum?
they replaced it with another one. I know
Tom's
the
father
kids were
took it
doing
up.
a project on it, and I think he had 100 men or something. He controlled 100 men, didn't he, or whatever it was?
Yeah, he was a centurion, yeah.
He was a
Taken
centurion.
Arca stone, and it was written in Latin.
You'll have to speak up a bit, I'm going to put the heating up, right?
It's gone a bit cold.
Taken
Takanaka.
Arca's Higiaket,
No, it's
Fili-
Filius
Fili Marti,
Marti.
son of Martin.
Yeah, Itiaki.
Tom's father took the stone down to the museum.
On horseback?
Horse and
Oh, it's in the
cart when
museum
he
now,
was
definitely, because the kids have been
Bright
doing
Rummy.
Now, the last
Yeah,
time
that
I
was
went there
part
and
of
asked to
your
see
farm.
it, they said it was in
No, that's
St.
Charles's
Helens.
farm. I thought.
Oh,
So I wanted to show my
And they
grandson.
put a sort
Yeah,
of
because I know
modern
the
stone
last
in
of the
there.
kids that went from Lewis Boys, they went down to the museum, you know, which is free.
The National Museum now.
The stone is
Well, that's
yeah,
been about 2 years ago.
well, it's yes,
Excuse me?
sort of crooked.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
We're on there.
yeah, with a bend in it.
Okay.
So how does haymaking, that's something we all think of as a farming, how has that changed over the... Do you collect hay now or do you just collect silage?
When I went up there first, as I said, it was done with horses, all with horses. And basically, it was cut, it was turned, it was piked onto the gambo, and all in all, I would say it was a bit of fun when the hauling, because we had Phil James,
Phil James, yes, I think.
Morgan Davis, Morgan?
Don't know more.
Used to live with a hairdresser. Is it Morgan?
It's a Morgan Davis in New Road.
That's right, yeah, because there used to be a hairdresser in the shop, didn't there, underneath
Ah,
where the laundry
no,
was.
they were
And
next,
they lived next door.
they
That's
next
right.
door.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Um,
Pam's father.
Mog, aye, Mog
what's
Davis.
the one? James? Phil James?
Yeah.
Sandra James's father.
There's a few of them, and was the other gentleman that used to live there? A small man, but he lived with Phil James.
Can't remember.
There used to be a gang who used to come up. They were brilliant. They were, yeah. But now, as I say, it's all done with tractor. And then it was a baler with what we call now little bales, which were, you had to hump onto the trailer, which to me was heavy work. And now it's big bales wrapped, which is all tractor work because you couldn't pick them up if you tried.
And then machine wrapped it
Just
as well.
all, yeah.
Did you ever build hay ricks? Did you
Yeah.
build hay
And
stacks?
Tom's father used to do that. He used to make sure they were perfect. They had good corners on them, and then he used to put the yeah.
There's a section up in the farm, a little paddock. It's called the rickyard.
It's
isn't
still
it?
the rickyard,
Where the rickyard
yeah.
bricks used to be.
The
We
rickyard.
still call it the rickyard, don't we?
Yes, it's surprising how things have changed. Incredible. So I moved after that.
What about the farming community? Is there a big change in, did it used to be a close farming community?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and it's surprising how they still are. They still are. It's not quite the same as it used to be because the older ones have gone and the markets are quite different to what they used to be because Tom went to market every week because he said if you missed a week you would miss a bargain or something like that. And there were a few of them that used to go around together, Tom Powell, Rose, and eventually Alan Price, he was another one. But there were a lot of them and they used to sort of congregate in the market. It used to be Nelson Market.
That's right.
And then Newport Market. But today, because I suppose, because the technology and the transport and the restrictions that you get through the ministry, you can't do this, that and the other, they tend just to go to market. It's not a social occasion like it used to be because girls used to go, didn't you? Now bread and cheese and
Then surely it was somewhere where the conversation and the news was carried back and
oh,
forth.
definitely.
I mean, now it's
Yeah.
everybody got
Shearing was very sociable as well, wasn't it?
Yes.
Used to go from farm to farm.
Yeah.
It was good, shearing was good, wasn't it?
Hmm?
Shearing was good, wasn't it?
So that's changed as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you just do your own now. They used to go down to Jack Price and different ones. Jack and Bill Price. You remember them in Gulliver with them? Two bachelors.
I've heard of Price Brothers,
I went down there for 21 years, I think, to do the food for their shearing. And Colin, I had to take a blanket to put on the settee, or the couch, or whatever it was. I had to take our water, because he wouldn't drink their water, because it was coming through the cemetery. And they never had it in the house, because they wouldn't pay water rates, so it was all in a churn or something outside the door. I had to take everything down, but the water was, that was Colin, I can't bring that water. He said, I know it's coming through the cemetery, but that's another house that had been, they had a big extension put on it, and it must have been the late 20s, early 30s, I should think, when Mr. and Mrs. Price had it done. And they had then a full bathroom suite. Bath, toilet, hand wash basin in this house. And it rusted away because when the mother and father died, they wouldn't pay the water rate, so it just went.
Tell them the story about Anne.
Oh, yes. Well, the kids used to come over, and Anne was only about 18 months old, I expect. And sometimes his sister would come up and she would say about different things and do this and do that. So Anne, she said, oh, put her to bed. So I took her upstairs and put her in Jack's bed to see if she'd go to sleep. It wasn't taken on, Eddie, to do the day before.
Everything used to take over, didn't it?
Eddie Grossman used to say, you doing the food over in Cambridge then? Yeah. Okay, I'll be there instead. Otherwise. Oh, there we are. A bit of fun, I suppose.
So when you had shearing, I still hear of shearing going on there. You just do your own.
The shearers come in.
Oh, the
Contractors.
Yeah, the contractors. They're
But they're strangers, something, rather than people going from farm to farm.
not really, because they again friends of ours. They are farmers' sons and farmers' grandsons now. He is the auctioneer for.
Nelson.
Well, yeah, he's in Abergavenny, isn't he?
He's all right, isn't he?
Yeah, and he and his two sons and a friend come over, four of them. And it takes, each shearer wants 2 handlers because they shear so quick. There's one to catch, give it, and the other one to take it off. Yeah, they're very good, very good. They can do about 400 sheep between them in, what, 8, 9, about 6 hours, I expect.
Who follows the fleeces? Who follows the fleeces?
That's what I say, that's in the gym. That's
Oh,
what I say,
that
surprises
is,
me.
isn't
Me and my brother John.
Yeah.
So is there a market for wool now?
It's improving.
It's starting to come back, isn't it? 'Cause
Very
it's
much so.
on Countryside, it's
Yeah,
starting
it
to-
has. Yeah, it's just very. It's sometimes the cost of shearing didn't cover the cost of the food,
No.
but now, yes, it's better. But again, we had a decent check last year. It was about £500, I expect. But they started about 10 years ago. They only paid you half of what the cost. So basically, our 500, something like that, was part this year's and part what they owed us last year. You only get, so they still owe us half.
All right.
Yeah.
The one in England is closed, no? We don't take it
No. I think it's Brecon they go to, but they send a lorry around
Yeah.
and they tell you where to pick up. We pick up in
They're
Peter
on
and
the industrial
Morris's.
estate
Yeah.
in Brecon.
Yeah.
At one time, they were charging 50 pence to shear a sheep, but it was having 35 pence for the fleece, wasn't it?
Something like that.
It was in 50
Not
pence each fleece.
It's, yeah. I know Peter Morris, he never paid him because he's got, I think he got Welsh and they're a bit hairy.
Mm.
But if you've got it, it's surprising how many different sorts of wool there are, because when you have your statement back, it's so much for this one and so much for that one, and the different categories and qualities and things.
So they
of
sort
wool.
them out
They-
that end.
They sort
sort
it,
them out,
yeah.
But before you had electricity, it was all done with snips, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. They used to come over. One of them, Jack Price, always came over, and another one was Alan Price's father,
All right.
and he was funny. He used to come over and he used to have food, and he'd have his afters first,
Oh, you have to first.
just in case he didn't have room for his afters. Yeah. There's some characters about indeed.
So what have you got on the farm now? You've got beef cattle, then, is it?
Not really. What they do now, instead of milking, they rear calves until all females, and they calve when they're 3 years old, and they sold as a cow and a calf.
Oh.
But then,
So you don't do very much milking then at all?
only the old girls as we got that rear the calves. So they buy calves, say 2 or 3 weeks old. And as I say, we got 4, 5 cows that are milkers, and they will rear 5 or 6 calves a year. So you've got to keep each one 3 years, and then there's this.
Yeah. Do you have milk now for yourselves at there, or do you buy milk now?
Oh, I buy milk because they won't drink full cream milk. But when a cow calves, for the first couple of milkings, you can't use the milk. It's called colostrum, which we keep in the freezer for lambing. But after that, I mean, you've got these cows, they can milk 10 gallons a day. And if they haven't gone to market, what do you do with 10 gallons of milk a day? Not a lot. But it's surprising, you have something, because it's full cream. I mean, if you put it in a milk carton, you'd have that much cream on the top of it, not like today.
Don't it make lovely rice pudding, don't it?
Yeah, no rice pudding, yeah. But and sometimes I make butter. I don't make cheese because I don't like a Philly cheese. But that only lasts for about a week. You have to keep it so long, you see. Yeah.
And you've got sheep there, and sheep is the other main.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The main stuff.
Yeah, we under 10. I think we're in single figures at the moment now for lambing. We finished, and we've had, I think it's 9 sets of triplets. We had more twins than we had singles. I think they've got over 200 sets of twins and just under 200 singles, but the twins have beat the singles this year. So they had a mad 3 weeks, literally a mad 3 weeks. But other than that, as I say, it was quite calm there today. There was none in front of the fire. They got I don't know, it's on Facebook, they got one.
I was telling them about that. Watching
On the
rugby.
chair in the big kitchen.
Watching the rugby.
Yeah. Yes.
So do you think one of the boys will take over the farm?
What Geraint is at the moment. He's Colin's son, yeah. But they're seriously thinking of cutting down stock-wise because as Colin is 64. And there's only Geraint at the moment. The other grandchildren are very, very good. David and Johan and Reese, they're excellent. They've been wonderful this year. But as I say, it's a lot for one. So they're trying to work out how they can cut it down, that it'll be a bit more manageable for Geraint when he is on his own.
It's only stock now though. You don't do any arable, no planting.
Beg your pardon?
You don't do any planting now.
No, it's on the road, you mean, like you were?
Well, you used to grow potatoes.
That's
and all
right,
that.
yeah. No, but after Tom died, that was 17 years ago. That was our last season on the road because again, it's too much for, because Geraint, I mean, he's 17 years younger than he is now. And it took Anne and myself 14 years to persuade him to give us a corner of one of the fields to make a bit of a allotment. So we do grow a bit of our own for that, yeah. But it took a long time, but it was worth it. It was worth it. But, yeah. There we are.
Yeah. Oh, Grace, that has been fascinating. It's been absolutely brilliant.
Did you enjoy it?
I really enjoyed it.
Will you do it again? Will you do it again?
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
I must admit I've enjoyed it because it's so varied. There's nothing that you do. I know you do things every day, but there's such, like lambing. You get geared up for lambing. Fortunately, Geraint is he's excellent man. He's wonderful. And he's taken over from me with the lambing. And the only thing that I've had to do this year is, perhaps I shouldn't say it in front of all you, prolapses. They can have a prolapse before lambing and after lambing. And we've had two before and we've had 2 after, and that's been my job to do that. But
Putting everything back in
Put
where it
it back in.
belongs. Putting everything back in where it belongs.
yes, and it's surprising how they can, if it's before lambing, how they can lamb with what we call a spoon. It's incredible, incredible. So
So you're not only farming, you're doctoring as well.
vet,
You're a
yeah,
vet
yeah.
for the sheep as well.
yeah, surprising. Again,
No,
Geraint is very, very good, again with that, because lots of things, you either, an example, Johan, grandson Johan, he's got dogs, and one of his dogs came up a couple of years ago, she gripped her underneath her arm on barbed wire. Easter time, vet wanted £500 just to go and have it, and I 5 stitches and it was done, and then pellets and an injection, which you've always got. So Geraint has taken over from that as well. But I must admit he's much better than me, because where I put 5 stitches and he would have put 10. He's very, very neat sewing. but he's good. But yeah, little things like that are surprising. Set a leg.
You've always nursed the animals around there. It's not often you have to call a vet, because you haven't sorted them out before.
No. Johan was up today. He's got puppy, she's about a month old. Oh, she's a little thing. And she was walking like that. And he fetched her up to see what was wrong with her. I said, she got rickets. I said, go on that thing, whatever you call it, and have a look at rickets. And they did. And it was, so that's even going to the vet. So then you've got to give her vitamins and something like that. But he often fetches them up to be stitched up. And his friends. But yeah, and it's surprising how good they are. They don't move. Talk to them nice. They're very good. Yeah.
You said you don't like chickens. Have you got any chickens up there now?
Anne.
Oh.
Anne's got them.
You've got a little friend that comes in the house to see you,
Yeah. Anne knocks the back door.
and knocks the back door, and stands in front of the fridge and asks you to open it.
She goes in front of the
A
fridge.
chicken.
A chicken.
And sits on the settee with you in a midday.
She comes in. In the summer she comes in and she just squats down in what we call a little kitchen, and she just say that she wants. All right. She joins in the conversation and all. But she was knocking the back door the other day. Again, I said, "I've got a chicken," she said, and knocking the back door. But I suppose we do spoil her. She loves liver. And the cat likes liver, so I give her some of the cat's liver.
You reared a couple of fowls on them.
Oh yeah. You said I nearly had one a couple of weeks ago.
We nearly had one the other day.
We had,
If I'd been a couple of hours earlier, you would have had one.
do you know the last one? It's gone 10.
Is she there?
Well gone, because we had her when John had his accident.
That's right there.
Yeah,
Polly on it.
yeah.
Kids fetched down on a motorbike from the mountain, didn't they?
Colin Red and I had an express delivery. She came in about 6 o'clock one summer evening. The boys had been up the mountain on the bike and they'd seen this mare was dead. And the foal was at the side of her, so they fetched her down to the farm. So, she's lovely. She, as I say, I tell you who had her was
Sue Battersby.
Sue Battersby. Remember Sue Battersby? In the cockle? Yeah, she had her. Well, she still got her anyway.
And the first one, the mare got killed on the road in Turfield, didn't she?
Yeah,
And you read her, she was
yeah.
a character.
She used to knock the door to come in as well.
And drink all your tea if you hadn't finished it. She'd drink the tea, wouldn't
Oh, she would. She would. She'd have her nose all around you now to see she'd have those biscuits. Just right. She would, so much so that we had to put it out on tap because she was nearly opening the door. Knew she had to put the latch down and she was starting to do that. So we thought, well, she's not coming, she can come in with the doors open, but not much of it. This happened this time. One of the dogs, he would open the door, come in, Barney. But he threw him out the back, he'd come round the front and open that door as well. So when we had the latch changed on the back door to stop the dog coming in. And nobody else can open it either. It's really hard.
I can't anymore. I can't
Yeah.
open it.
But it doesn't take long for animals to work out something. They know exactly what they want. You've got to watch the cats. They're in bed. If you don't shut the door, they're in bed.
But Barney would open the door for the cats to come in, and he didn't want to
They
come
all
in.
could be chicken as well.
Yeah, but he wouldn't want to come in, he'd just
Barney.
open the door. He'd go back down the yard, he would, after he let everybody in.
But as I say, we're going back a long, long time ago. We had a pet lamb. It was born in February and wasn't supposed to be born until about March, so it was a loner, literally. His mum didn't have enough milk for him. So, you can't put him out in the barn, it's too cold. We keep him in the house. Puddles, every time he moved, he weed. So he was called Puddles. So then Puddles couldn't be castrated because he was really spoilt. So we decided we'd give him to Tom's cousin down in Turfield. Because although they didn't have sheep, it's surprising how many people would pick up a lamb and take it into Grey Grubby, and his mum would rear these pet lambs.
Yeah.
So we was headlines in the Merthyr twice because Ram has taken crisps off the children, the ice cream off the children. He just thought he'd escape and he'd chase the kids. But again, this is where you mustn't spoil animals to that extent, because they had to have him put down in the end because he was so aggressive. He just thought he owned everybody and everything. He would toss a bale of the little bales we call them. He would push that across the field when they were hauling hay. Just play with it, toss it all. He was so strong. He broke Margaret's leg because she didn't feed him the chicken food quick enough. So he gave her a poke in the leg and he broke her ankle. But as I say, so we don't spoil them like that anymore. They can get too spoiled. Too spoiled. But yeah. As I say, I wouldn't give it up, but I think I still enjoy it. Still enjoy it.
Even the winter, and the wind, and the rain.
They're very good with me now. They say, don't go out there, Graham, it's too dangerous. They say. Yeah.
Would it be possible for us to take some photos? Take some photos
Of the farm?
Of the farm.
I'll have to look to see, because Dr. Dyer's taken quite a lot.
Yeah.
I'll have to have a look to see what he's got up there.
You can perhaps copy some of these.
Yeah.
Nice to do something on the farm.
But most of the photographs today now, they're all on,
Yeah.
all on your phone or something. You've never seen them. He has taken quite a... I think there is a good one up there of the farmyard before it was cemented or anything like that. I'll have to have a look.
Yeah. If you could have a road around it, and perhaps we can call them and get Brian to copy them.
Is the pond still there?
Yeah.
You've still got the
Yeah.
pond?
Very much so. What?
And you've always had lots of visitors from the village, haven't you? You always treat them so well, and then you feed them so well.
Yes, they
That haymaking or anything
They
like that.
enjoy it.
They just love to go up there.
Surprising. I mean, the children, I still call them the children, they were coming up when the kids were little. They are now Jeff Williams. He's 68 this year, I think, Jeff. Still comes up, yeah. Oh, yes.
Yes, I used to go up to play
Loads
with...
of them.
I used to
Jimmy
go up to play
Forrest.
with John.
That's right, there you are, yeah. Yeah, surprising, isn't it? He's 6 months older than John.
Yeah.
Jeff is. But he haven't changed a bit.
No.
And Jill was saying that Margaret Bobia, I saw, well, I didn't know her, but Irene said she introduced herself at Marie's funeral.
Yeah.
And she said, Jill said, she still comes back and forth occasionally.
Loads of them still come back.
I wouldn't know that.
No, well, I didn't know her.
She's an old woman. Oh, yes, yes.
Do you know what she said to me? She said, who are you, she said? Because she got a little bit of Alzheimer's now, with my credit, like. And I said, I'm Jill. And she said, who's Jill, she said. I said, Jill, you know, I wasn't in the kitchen at the time at the farm. And Mum said, my Gillian, she said. Oh, when you say you were Gillian, she said, we never called you Jill. Nobody ever, only man called me Gillian. And anyway, she said, I would have never recognised you. She said, you've really aged.
She's the one that called us